Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda's approved. First item on the agenda is approval of consent items. Anybody have any questions or comments on any of those?
Julie not being here, these just questions that maybe she can answer later, or?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I can probably just ask them separate to her, or?
Well, I might as well, I'd say bring them up, so
Yeah, I mean,
we're
I might-
aware of
okay,
them.
yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering about like those Chromebooks. We got 4 new Chromebooks. Again, they were in the prepaid. They came out of the operating expenses. I'm just wondering, again, being Chromebooks, if they could have come out of some, a different fund. I mean, I'm just asking why.
I think they should be able to come out of,
Yeah,
something in Jade or Pebble or whatever.
And the athletic training room, and it had all those different items underneath. I mean, I just know all those.
Yeah, that
numbers.
line.
They had subscriptions.
Yeah, the athletic training room is the group we use,
Okay,
that does all of our training, so we contract them out to do home,
Yeah, they do
all
all
home events, away football. She's here 2 days a week on, Monday and Thursday from 2 to 4:30 or something like that.
Okay.
That's our trainer.
But
Right. Oh,
specifically,
it's-
and I know there's one coming up because they just asked me a week or two ago if we wanted to buy the supplies or they wanted to. So then I said, well, do you get it at better cost than us? And she said, I'm sure it's very similar and we will get it a lot faster. So I just said, you order it
Okay.
all and then
Okay.
bill us for it. So I don't know what all those are, but
okay. And the subscription, I didn't know, was that like, they had like 2 under their subscriptions. I didn't know, are those like
How much were
some
they?
kind of
Was it
programs?
Huddle or something like that?
oh,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
athletic training room, a different
Yeah,
person. needs
Different
subscription.
item. Yeah.
It's one of the items under the.
Under athletic
Yeah.
training room, that wouldn't be huddle. I don't know what.
No,
Maybe
Huddle is
Huddle.
separate. Huddle
Agile
is
Sports
separate.
Technologies, the 21-22 subscription for $900, $450, and $450.
950
No,
No, that's the
900.
Yeah.
and then 450?
Yeah.
And it's under athletic training room or it's a separate, I can look it up.
No,
too.
it's underneath.
If it's
the
with athletic training, I wouldn't know what that is. I'm trying to think of something else in the athletic department. I can probably find that out before the end of the night though. I'll look it up in consent items too.
And then the debt service, do you know what that $600 was for? UMB North America NA. That's some bank.
Is that for those 2?
Yeah, that was on the bills, not on the prepaid. It was the very last item. I
The
think.
one for me was prepaid, right?
Yeah,
like
yours
that.
was
I'll see if I can
prepaid,
find it.
yeah.
Very last.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It is basic.
Yeah, I don't know if that. Well, I jotted it down though.
Any other questions or comments on the consent items?
And then I had another one, just curiosity, that from Applegate, that's, I'm assuming those are books, it's like $600. Song of Achilles. I mean, that's what I'm assuming it is.
If it's
If it's
on
that
the
book,
bills.
there's a book by Madeline Miller, I'm assuming it's that book that she ordered. Okay.
That was our song.
Let's see, we paid all our insurance policies. Do we ever shop around?
I know that Julie does. She's called other places, and then I know like for our health insurance, she like shops that all the time because it's so expensive.
It seems to look good for a couple of years and all of a sudden.
Back to those prepaids. Colette, I'm not, I still don't
I
see
think
it.
it's in bills, actually.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Oh, I
That's-
thought it was.
no worries. Got it. I'll just-
With the track painting on there, is that the end of all the track expenses then?
I think so, Rob, is it?
I would guess it is, I mean, that was the
Looks
last thing
really
she
sharp.
did.
anyway.
It does look
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I think that's all, I think, for, back to your question, Colette, athletic training room was the 953, and then huddle is the 24, you see that, Rob, 2497? And then those subscriptions, are those different parts of
Those would
huddle?
add up to 2497, but I'm not sure what all, I know what the huddle, so I'm just gonna ask, he orders the huddle. but
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask him. Yeah, that's not athletic training, so that's something that we're subscribing to, maybe a double year or two, so.
Huddle's what they use for all that, they have to upload all the film, the game film and that kind
Right.
of stuff.
Well, that's what I
Football,
wondered,
but
if it
That's,
was some
that's high, so
kind
it's
of
more than
program,
that, I know
yeah.
what our subscription is, and that's, but maybe it's all the sports are for that.
Yeah, it looks like there's the football, boys basketball, girls basketball, the guess, because I think they upload the huddle. But House will be able to tell us,
Well,
well, maybe,
probably.
if not, we can certainly fill you
Yeah,
in.
Julie will know for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the consent item? So those questions Julie can answer
Yeah.
and send us an email
You
out.
bet.
Sounds good. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent items? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent items are approved. Doesn't look like we have any correspondence tonight, so we'll move on to public forum. Mike, let me see, you have a note there.
Oh, so this is where we needed to be sure to put our return to learn plan, so if there's any public comment about return to learn, this is the time that they can speak about it, and then later in the business items, we'll approve it. So,
Okay. Anybody have anything? Okay,
Did you come?
I came as well, but go ahead.
You're welcome to start.
I wasn't here for Return to Learn, so if you want to speak about Return to Learn.
I have comments about a few things, so let me get my notes open. Okay, so there's, first of all, nice to meet you all in person. I've seen you virtually. I've met a few of you in person. My name is Christy Hvac, and I came with a few areas that I would like clarification for. First of all is Return to Learn plan, actually. I saw it on the Baxter website, but I didn't see it advertised anywhere. I didn't see a call to action to ask for public comment anywhere besides that it was just posted generically on the website. It was on the front page, but there have been a lot of things posted on Facebook. This wasn't one of those things that was called out to say, hey, if you would like to make public comment, if you weren't at the board meeting last time, you wouldn't even have known. Related to that, as I was reading it, I appreciate and noticed that there was the optional face covering, which is great. It supports an individual's right to freedom, supporting the parents, the teachers, and the students in the school. My question relating that is, how is the school going to manage if a teacher chooses to wear a face mask, which I totally support their option to be able to do that. But if they're teaching phonics or phonetics or enunciation, have students that have challenges learning without being able to see their mouse, what are the plans of the school to be able to manage those challenges to make sure that the students are learning speech properly, that are able to have those needs met? And if we've thought about that, because it is an option for the teachers, and again, I'm fully supportive of that. The second thing related to the optional face covering guidance, I remember last year there was a lot of bullying and shaming related to face coverings in general. And I am curious what the plans are to make sure that if a student chooses or a staff member chooses to wear a mask, that is respected, and those that don't is also respected, and that that's going to be communicated properly throughout the school. The second thing that I would like to bring up, also related to the school's Facebook page, is that I've seen multiple posts regarding the availability of the emergency use authorization vaccine for COVID for ages above 12. I'm wondering why the district is choosing to only share one side of the COVID prevention story. The other side of that story is communicating information on the two highest risk factors, obesity and anxiety, and ways to improve overall health, which is a lifelong need. I would like to see the school district include things like regular exercise, being outside to ensure that students are getting adequate vitamin D and balanced nutrition as part of their COVID prevention strategy, because it's going to improve kids' overall health, as well as our staff members and community's overall health. So again, just thinking about the balanced approach to COVID prevention, not just pushing a vaccine, because that doesn't answer all of our questions, and nor can everyone get a vaccine right now. So balancing that out. The third thing that I saw related to school communications is I've seen multiple times communications providing information on Iowa's immunization schedules. However, what I see lacking in those communications is proper communication to members of the district regarding exemptions, which are allowed per Iowa Code 139A, Section 8, subsection 4, and would like the district to please ensure that the communication is communicated to the district on all forms of documentation regarding immunizations. Lastly, I have a specific follow-up that I would like the district's stance on 3 specific subject areas: critical race theory, the 1619 Project, and the founding of our country. What is our stance on covering those in our curriculum? Are we covering the United States of America's Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? And are we covering those other areas? And with that, I would like to say thank you for your time, and I appreciate follow-up on all of those areas.
Thank you.
Can you say that? I'm trying to take notes.
Yep.
The last part there. Okay, 1619.
Critical race
Critical
theory,
race theory.
and then the founding of our country, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. I know the Iowa House put a code in that we need to say the pledge every day, so that the school is aware of that, and all classrooms are planning to do that at the start of every day.
Which we did.
Yeah.
You listened.
I listened to that the last time. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public forum?
I'm here on a different note. So I'm Anna Brown, and you know me as the high school science teacher. But as many people at Baxter, I get to wear many hats here too. And so I wanted to introduce myself in a new role. I'm going to be taking over for Deanne Bishop as the new president for the BEA. So I just wanted to come to introduce myself in that role, and I really hope to build positive relationships with you all. I hope to be proactive with our communication, and I hope that can be a two-way street. Dr. Clapper mentioned that you all have email addresses that are the Baxter, your name, and I just wondered if that was the best way to communicate with you, or if anyone had any other preferences for communication.
School one more.
The school one. Okay, very good. Well, we hope to have representation at meetings, at least online, and maybe somebody here with us, so we can communicate that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just to follow up with that, Mrs. Brown and I met Monday,
Mhm.
and we've set a schedule to meet monthly, and we planned it to meet the Tuesday before the next board meeting, so like yesterday. And so the agenda will be out, and so if they have any questions or anything like that, that just to improve the communication between us and the BEA. So we're really
Yeah,
excited to start.
What
this
is the
partnership.
BEA?
We're the Baxter Education Association. So it's representing the teachers and educators.
Okay, anyone else for public forum? Okay, we'll move into our business items. And the first thing under that is the return to learn plan for 2021-2022.
So like we talked about last month, it's similar to last year, but it's a little bit different as far as we're not requiring masks. We still are going to encourage social distancing when possible, but the lunchroom isn't going to be at 50% capacity. It's really going to go back to pretty much business as usual. but we'll still clean rooms, and teachers still have spray in the rooms to clean desks, and we still have sanitizer around if people want, like, as you come in and that sort of thing. But the main difference is masks will not be required. Recommended, if people want to wear a mask, absolutely. If they don't want to, that's perfectly fine as well.
We will be around 50%. We're gonna keep our plan of not having.
Oh, are you?
At
Okay.
the 6-12, we're gonna
It's a 6-12.
hold some, just because we need to use a common spaces, so when groups are eating, they'll leave, and that way we're not just doing it in a lunchroom.
And so in the elementary building, they aren't gonna, I wish Jason was here because he could really talk a little more about it, but they're not gonna have people eating in their classroom this year. They're just gonna be in the lunchroom all together, like we typically would. And as far as we're offering the online program, we haven't had a ton of people sign up for it, but we have had a handful. that
We have
signed-
6.
6, and I don't,
6 through K and the
6-12.
K-12.
6-12.
6-12.
Yeah, and,
Jason.
I don't know how many Jason has. I don't even know if he has any, but not a huge amount,
Compared to
but
last
still,
year, that's less than last
it's less
year.
than last year.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's an option if parents wanted to choose that. Otherwise, plans into your plan. So really, it's just gonna be kind of back to business as usual with just extra caution. Bus capacity will be at full capacity. I do want to read to you the bus language that we've gotten. There's quite conflicting information on both sides of this, and so just consulting with our attorneys, what they're recommending is that this is the policy we adopt, and I'll read it so that people in here can hear it. The CDC requires that masks be worn on public transportation, including school buses, effective February 1st, 2021. The Baxter School Board advises all students and staff riding public transportation to wear a mask in accordance with the CDC order. However, in accordance with Iowa Code, Section 280.31, employees of the Baxter School District will not be enforcing the CDC order and will defer to Iowa Code. So what that means is we won't put our bus drivers in the position to have to mandate somebody to put a mask on. And there's just, the governor's office and the CDC are in direct conflict, and so they're leaving schools in the middle of it. And so this is what our lawyer is telling us to, as a board or as a district, this is what they recommend, that we just defer to Iowa Code, which is we cannot mandate mask wearing. So if you want to adopt that language, that would be a good idea. Or I guess it's up to you, you can discuss it, but that's what our lawyers recommend.
Do they have any questions or comments on that?
I guess just to, follow up on the bullying comment. I never heard any from my kids. Of course, they're younger, first year in high school this year, but I'm sure it goes on probably everywhere. Rob and teachers probably try to do the best they can, trying to handle 200 some kids and trying to do that. But I would hope, you said, what's the school going to do? I would ask, what are the parents going to do also? Because, these guys, they're doing everything they can. They're trying to teach through a pandemic. They're trying to do everything. I just hope at home, parents will explain, hey, kids wearing a mask, kids not wearing a mask, whatever, it's not a big deal. Let's try to treat everybody with respect, and it's a mask, who cares, right? If the kid wants to wear one, if he doesn't want to wear one, I just hope parents at home can pass on some values to their children as a learning moment in this time, and not just put everything on the school, because there's been so much happened this last year and a half, it's crazy. So that's just my comment to anybody listening, that it's both ways. Teachers try to treat kids with respect, and it'd be nice to have that respect everywhere.
I know Debbie shared with us, the last 2 weeks when we went to the optional policy, that her daughter had come home and said that basically every class that they were in, the teachers had a discussion with the kids. It's like, you know, there's not gonna be any bullying tolerated either way, either for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. So it sounds like the teachers had covered that pretty well. And I mean, I guess past that, we've got our anti-bullying policy and that, you know, if it comes to where that is a problem, we've got that policy that we can move into as far as, which that covers any kind of bullying. But, so.
We didn't have what we would consider an official bullying complaint levied on masks or no masks. We did have people confront people about following the policy. Then I would step in, and that wouldn't constitute bullying. They would just say, we have a school policy, have your mask on, put your mask on. Now, tone of voice, how they're saying it, we had conversations about. Huddle is that, and Hash just got back, so I want to check my list because I have so much. It's a $900 subscription for a school for the first sport. It's $450 every sport a year after that. So that's what those two $450s. I think that was football, volleyball, and girls basketball, or boys basketball. Paget pays that $498 out of his because it's an upgrade thing, that unlimited something, and then football does play tools out of our personal account for $199. So I'm sure she just moved it out, but it was all that Huddle scouting for all our sports, online stuff. You're right, even though.
Any other discussion on our return to learn plan? Do we have a motion to approve the return to learn plan as presented? Here's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Return to learn plan is approved for the 2021-2022 school year. Now the bus language ones, anybody have any comments on that? We have a motion to approve that bus language as presented. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved to approve the bus language as was presented.
Do we have any new drivers this year, or same? I know that's always a real challenge.
Yeah, so
drivers.
we don't really have any new. We actually have a sort of short-term, long-term sub that is actually my dad, because he got drug into it. Dad, we're desperate, but he does have a bus license. So he is going to fill in. We have one of our drivers having surgery, so he'll be out for 6 weeks. So that kind of threw quite a wrench in things. So we pulled up my dad to fill in for that. But other than that, we don't really have any new drivers. But if there's anyone on Zoom that's watching and wants to drive bus, we are always, always, always looking for bus drivers and sub-bus drivers and paras and sub-paras and teachers and sub-teachers. So if you are interested in that, email me. So no, we don't have any new ones except my dad. So, and then he lives in the area now, so he'll be able to fill in on a little more. Like if somebody calls in sick or something, Deb can call him, but he's retired, so retired teacher, so he subs for us too. So he gets pulled into all sorts of crazy stuff. Films for the football team. Perks of being the superintendent's dad, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a building project update. Really nothing on that building project.
Just, you know, like Pam just popped in and mentioned, we had some trouble with some of the like heating and cooling units, and she's working on, you know, with the contractors, still working on that. And as far as not the new building project, but the building project in Jason's office area, that's just about wrapped up. So we're hoping to have that all the way done by Monday night. So, well, by Monday. So when kids get here, and then Monday night when people walk around, you'll be able to see it. But I had no faith at all that they would be able to get that thing done before school started. And by gosh, they have. I mean, it was quick by the time they started, cut walls open and put walls up, and I mean, it went really quickly. So they've done a really nice job.
So this problem, this is the newer portion, right?
Yeah, well, it's like Rob's office.
Right. So Neil Johnson controls.
Well, they
It almost
she's-
sounds like sizing problems or something with
Um,
the load capacities and that.
So she's been in touch, I know she's been in touch with Dale and Jamie and those guys, getting them involved. And there's also, I guess, it's not really nothing to report, it's a little thing, but the rollers on the chairs in the middle school rooms and then some of the high school rooms, they were scratching the floors just terribly. And so we called Workspace and they were fabulous. They came back and they were just there a couple days ago and looked at them. And I guess when they got installed, some of them, they're supposed to be like some rollers that are for hard surface floors and some that are for carpeted surface floors, and they didn't get them all put on right. And that wasn't us, that was Workspace. So they're replacing them. They're making it right, and they've been wonderful to work with. The chairs in the science labs, they replaced all those at no cost to us. And so, I mean, I just can't say enough wonderful things about Workspace as a company. They've really done a nice job trying to make things right for us. So hopefully everybody else, so all the other contractors that we worked with will do the same.
I think that building next to the bus barn, we're waiting for, and I went down to get the building permit for it. The county wanted to see stamped certified blueprints and plans done by an engineer or whatever. So that's in the works. So as soon as we get those, everything else is okay. So it sounds like just, we got to get those, get them down to the county, and then he's ready to approve it. So if we would have had them, actually that building probably would have been built this week, but something I didn't realize it was needed or that. So anyway, but it's all, I think, pretty much ready out there. So the concrete's been cut out that needed to be. We will have to, when we know the date, they need to take down the power line that feeds the bus barn and reposition that. So it might be a couple days in there where the bus barn will be without
So
Mhm.
students aren't allowed, are we allowing parking in that space?
No.
Okay,
No, we're
I didn't think
over
so.
And Jason has made of it, he's filmed it, but he's still compiling it. He wasn't with us today because he was taking his daughter to college. So he's gonna, I think, get that sent out tomorrow. And we were also sort of waiting to get the signs. It was kind of really tight timing because we were waiting for the city to approve it. And then once the city approved the plan, we ordered the signs right away, but then it just takes time for them to get here. So the signs got here, they rolled in the last couple of days, and the last one got here today. So Jason's video doesn't even like really have all the signs, it's just him talking about where the signs will be. And so I don't know if after he sends that out, if we'll have to make like another video with more signage and stuff. But we'll have people out there on the first day helping to direct traffic.
Did we get no parking signs for like the ag building or
Yeah.
that, where they parked in the
They've
gravel
got a
there?
whole pile of signs.
Okay.
They were quick this evening.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Kevin had found a bunch of signposts and they were trying to get them all. It's just so quick, like they got here, we're putting them up, the kids are coming Monday, and the city council meeting wasn't until the 9th, I think, so it just, timing's just tight with all, but. The only thing the city council wanted to adjust was they wanted this whole block to be, or from like that driveway, the part that we own from like the edge of my office, all the way to the corner to be one way. Because they said if we stopped it at the bus lane, which makes sense, they said people might accidentally turn and then like run head on into somebody that was going one way that way. So we'll just make it one way all the way to the corner, just during the school day.
And was the city, were they gonna be able to provide an officer or something
They were
that
gonna-
first couple days
that-
to kind of help
I think so.
police that?
They know that that's our request anyway for them to help with that.
good. Okay, next item is principal's reports. Rob?
Coming off guard, 'cause I was gonna start with our social policy, so give me just a second. Before that. One that I think we need to approve is I have a volunteer assistant that's just more on paper. He's just learning. He's working with the youth program. He does have certification as Chad Maxwell. He's going to coach our junior high girls basketball, but he's got youth football, and he's just been out there enough that I just want to make sure that's on if anybody would say, why is Chad that we approved him as a volunteer assistant? So I think if we can do that.
I'll put it down there to volunteers.
Awesome. Want to talk about our Spanish situation, so we're all updated on that. We really, well, we don't have a live Spanish person for this school year. Interviewed a couple, advertised since May, and yeah, we could not get anyone. I actually tried to get some people who were not certified in Spanish but had teaching certification, but that's a really hard one. I had one person who was maybe willing but didn't even speak Spanish. So then it was like, well, is that what's best for our kids? To have a live person who is going to learn basic Spanish right along with them. There's two teachers out of Rock Valley, reached out early summer, and I just kept putting them because I wanted to find someone when we didn't. They serve 6 to 8 different districts in an online programming, which would be different than like our Edgenuity, where kids just get on and work at their own pace. It's led asynchronously, but the best thing is then those teachers can be reached out specifically by kids. They hold a Zoom once a week, after hours meetings, and kind of what we would do. They teach Spanish at a different school. So from 8 to 3, they're not available. We've hired a full-time para to put in that room to make sure we have kids following policy, to make sure they're trying to do the work they're supposed to do. So it's not a great answer, but it's better than just saying, hey, we're taking Spanish on Edgenuity and kind of sink or swim. So we have some help. I just read, since I sat down, she sent out to all of our kids and parents and administration. They're having 2 options for Zoom meetings to get to know them, get the syllabus. It was really well put together. So, and had great meetings with her through the summer through this. So I feel pretty good. You know, if you don't learn well online, I'm not going to say it's a great option for you, but kids are pretty used to that now, and you're going to have some support. So that will be our Spanish. A little bit of a concern that if you are a little behind. So if you had the same teacher and you got through Spanish 2, you know, those teachers in person here at Baxter are going to help you with Spanish 3. They assured us if we have any kids who are struggling, let's say I'm Spanish 3, but I don't have the skills, they're going to put them back in Spanish 2. We can do it in-house for credit, because a lot of kids need that 4th year of Spanish or 4 years of Spanish. So I really appreciate it, Rob. We're going to work with you. If we don't want a kid to be frustrated, we will get them at the level they want. How you code that and what you use on your end. They're going to give grades. They're on our JMC. It will look just like it would if that person was in-house. And I have her email, and she responds almost immediately every time I ask a question. So that's where we're at with Spanish.
So will that kind of work like when we did it over the ICF?
Yeah, it's exactly right, John. So when we did that, and we actually offered that service, and I think we ended up with 4 or 5 schools at a time and charged them and worked out a deal. The difference there was she wanted those kids online during the same periods she was teaching. So it was that was synchronous. She was teaching our kids while she was teaching the other kids in that period. Our kids can be in any period in the day working, because they're not going to get feedback or help until after 3 o'clock, which also helps our schedule. We've had half a dozen kids got able to pick up a different class they wanted because I could move my Spanish wherever I wanted in the day. So a little silver lining, not much. I mean, we're mildly concerned, and we'll monitor. I hope our new hire, that'll be a key. The lady from Rock Valley said, Rob, that's places that are really successful because that person in the room follows the protocols, is sharing information from me every day. They're working with me. So yeah, we have somebody hired, and I feel okay about that. So I'll keep reporting. If you have any questions about that, let me know. We have 2 policy changes on our handbook that I think also need to be approved. Just that 2021 handbook that we've had, and every year I usually come with, we're going to tweak this or change this. The easy one is on dress. Where again, we're pressing hard on no food and drink in the classroom. We're not gonna have lunch, or kids are not taking food out of the cafeteria. They're not gonna eat in teachers' classrooms this year, but that's already in there. We're just gonna bullet that and talk about that. We are gonna allow headwear this year, and it was a really good discussion. One little bit was because we are really going to tighten up cell phones. So I just know the push we're gonna get. We're gonna get it done. I think in 2 weeks it will, and I'll go through that policy in a second. We've been battling hats for a long time. Then we actually started battling a little bit of cultural background, people wearing headwear that may, represent their cultures. Reached out. There are more and more bigger districts that went away from just saying no, because stocking caps, what about bandanas and headbands and girls with this, and it just got crazy. Of course, we have a lot of kids that just wear the ball cap. So our goal and focus this year, 6-12, is going to be around student engagement. Getting off the pandemic, we're going to get them back in the rooms. We are going to get them engaged. And really, of all the policies, does headwear have anything really to do with engagement? It doesn't. Of all the things, I mean, if there's a preface in there that if it's a distraction, a teacher can ask a student to remove anything or send them to the office to discuss why they can't wear that. But so we're going to allow that to start the year. The one that we're not going to allow is cell phones. So the policy is going to say no cell phones in any classroom or in any locker room or bathroom at any time during the day. They can have their cell phone. This is 9-12. 6-8 policy will be the same. 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock, cell phones are put away in bags, lockers, not being able to check them. If a parent needs them, they should be calling the office. Ninth grade, we allow the phones during passing. We'll allow the phones during lunch. It's not in our policy, but we're going to start with phone caddies. So it is going to be required. I didn't want to put it in a policy in case that fails miserably, or for whatever reason we just don't like the phone caddies, and we've talked, a lot of schools are using them, where the pitfalls will be. It doesn't say we're using phone caddies, but it does say that we're not going to have phones in classrooms. Here at Baxter, we're going to require on day one that kids check their phone as they walk into every classroom. We're going to use it as an attendance. We have these phone caddies 1 through 20. Kids will walk in, they'll put the phone in the caddy. As I'm a teacher, I look over and I don't see 7, 11. I say, I assume student 7 is Corey and student 11 is John. They're absent today. And then 7 says, I'm not absent. Where's your phone? Well, my parent took it this week because I was grounded. Okay, great. Duly noted. I better not see that phone. If I do, that's an office referral, because you've already done that's insubordination. You didn't put it up there. And we're going to go that route. I can tell you cell phones became a real big problem over the last 2 years. It's a teacher problem. It's a student problem. It's an engagement problem. It's an addiction problem to phones. The kids need to be on social media. We had so many problems with kids taking photos of stuff that's happening and getting it out there before I could even deal with it in school. I can tell you almost across the board, our policy was looser than every school I could find. It was for sure looser than every school that touched us. So I went Newton, Colfax, Collins, Maxwell, Cola, West Marshall, and all of them had the same policy, no phones in the classroom. We're going to get pushback from kids. I know we are, because it's like, you just took my world away. We're here to learn. We kind of went at it a while back that we wanted to teach digital citizenship, that we wanted to teach how to use cell phones in the real world, and it just wasn't happening. I can blame myself, I can blame teachers, whatever the reason. So this will be cold turkey. Kids are going to struggle, but if we're all consistent, this is how we do business. The first offense with a cell phone out that's not insubordination is, hey, just put it away. We're not trying to be just punitive in everything. The second, we're going to let the teacher take it, put it on their desk, have a conversation after class, give it to them. Once we've got a third problem with the cell phone, now we're going to start sending to the office. I'm going to start getting parents involved. Hey, we have a cell phone policy that says no cell phones in the classroom. We just need you to support that. If a kid needs to call for any reason or check in, all they got to do is ask to leave it, come to the office. It's easier to use your cell phone in my office than pick up the phone. Just ask. I need to call mom. I got to pick up brother and sister after school. I have a text, but I don't understand it. Can I call? Absolutely, you can call. Nothing's going to change except in those 41 minutes, we want you to engage with that teacher. As the teacher said today, we have our big teacher meeting tomorrow. It was a really good point. It's going to force me, if we run a little short with 4 minutes to go, she said, I can tell you, it was just get your phone. They just were on their phones the last 4 minutes of class. Now it's going to force us to have some communication. It's going to force us to talk person to person. It's going to force me to have a little extra at the end of the day. That's something they're going to work on. It's going to increase student engagement. So I'll be happy to report how that's going. I know it's going to be a tough week for all of us, especially me. I'm gonna start with kids on day one in a positive manner about this, why we're doing it. I'm gonna give them some data why we're doing it. So that's what we're gonna try. And you know, the problem's a little bit on the phone caddies or what happens if the phone gets stolen. Well, I don't know that's getting stolen per se, that I just don't believe that, but I do feel a kid could grab the wrong phone. And I'm 9 in this class and I thought I was 9 and everybody's phone and I just grab it. And it may take us a while because then the kid's standing and saying, my phone's gone. Well, what, is there a phone in there? Yeah, it's number 4. Well, hey, Jimmy it's supposed to have, 4. We'll just call him and get him switched. We're gonna have a little bit of that. I don't even know where the kids are gonna push. They're smart. They're gonna figure out ways, whether it's double phones or whatever. And those are the ones that, what I would say, any policy, if you have 90% of the kids following, it's great. I'll deal with the other 10%. We had way over 50% of lack of student engagement with phones in classrooms this past year over there, during the pandemic, after the pandemic, and we just gave them grace. And yeah, so that'll be in the policy. When I'm done here, I will actually share the verbiage. I have it right here, just in a Google Doc. I'll just share it with all you so you can read it. But that's the changes we're going to make this year, and that's the big one for kids. And we preface, so they know. I'm sending another email to parents and kids over the weekend about parking and about cell phones. So we've communicated this really well up till now. Just been dealing with 29 kids all week at the end of every football practice about how we're going to lead on that. We're not going to be the negative influence on that. We're going to follow the policy. It won't be perfect, but hopefully if we come in, those 29 guys, and our leaders lead, it's the right thing to do. It's 100% the right thing to do. So questions on that or any of that? I will tell you one just little funny story that I had a parent come in and just read me this last year about cell phone usage. She was one I sent specifically and said, hey, you'll be happy. I really thought she was just going to be ecstatic that her voice was heard, and came back and said, well, don't you think that's a little harsh? A little hard. Well, I mean, where's that gray area? We're going to not use phones except maybe when the kid just really needs that. That'll never work. So that was just kind of I'm just ready for it, and it'll be okay. But yeah, that's all I got, John.
Okay.
Let's send that right now, you guys.
Does the board have any discussion about the update to the 2 policies, the headwear and the cell phone policy?
So say they're in class, well, I gotta go to the bathroom. Their
Yep.
phone stays there.
Yep, they can't take it out of the caddy. So that's where we're really going to crack down, because whether they have the second phone, that's what a couple of principals told me to be ready for that one. They'll have the fake phone they're putting in every caddy every time, and then they have the real phone. So that's where it's really important. If we see the phone in the hallway, we see the phone in the bathroom, we'll come down pretty hard on that one. That's, obviously, it's disrespect.
So they can have them out in between.
Yep, passing, as long as you're good. That's what's really nice. So I'll talk to kids. You're on step 3. The next step means we're going to check that at the beginning of the day with me and not get it back. So when you come in the morning, and I had a kid last year that was the case, a specific incident, we're checking with me, and they don't, look at the bright side. You're going to get every passing, check your text, check your Snapchat, whatever you want to do. We're going to get kids on devices more, but the great thing about that, we monitor all devices. So if a kid wants to, send the text through, they can do that on their device, but we can check that. We can see exactly what they're typing to people during our class time. So we had a lot going on in the bathroom, which was a concern to me. Kids sending, maybe not videoing things they shouldn't, but they got in that bathroom and would sit there, because I can check, get somebody else to show me their Snapchat. It's like 7 minutes of Snapchat. Go to the class while they were in the bathroom. Well, they're sitting in the bathroom on their phone. So, student engagement.
Any other questions for Rob on that? Do we have a motion to approve the 2 changes in the handbook as specified by Mr.
I
Lucas?
said that headboard for this.
So,
We have a motion. Do we have a
I just
second?
like to say one thing. I assume though, like when they're doing the pledge or whatever, they have to.
That's
check
that's
that.
that's
I didn't know that was.
And I can talk about that a little bit. Where we've landed, I mean, it was brought up earlier in public forum, just whichever side of the line you're on, then there's going to be issues. we talked about different ways to do this. I think it's gonna be okay. I think the meaning is right, but I can promise you, we're gonna have some kids that are judged one way or the other. And the teachers have already asked me, what is my role in that? So we're trying to get exact clarification on that. I mean, the flags are up, so it's gonna be, whether you have a leader or you want to pop it on YouTube and push play, or if you want to start it yourself and stand up with your hand over your heart, we're going to give the teachers, but every kid has to have that opportunity in the first period, in the first 30 seconds to say the pledge. Jason and I talked, you know, at elementary, they're not going to, the kids are just going to do what they're told to do. And they're all going to stand up, they're excited to recite it. Middle school, mostly. High school's where we're going to have some issues. And why aren't you? And what?
Well,
You know.
I'm fine with that. I'm just talking about the head.
Yeah,
The
yeah, the hat,
the hat, you know,
the
just
hats are
ask
coming over.
them,
Yep.
obviously.
Now the question
Yeah, I mean, you
came
know
up.
you're gonna have issue
Yeah,
over that.
in BLT, we had our BLT meeting this week. If a student doesn't stand and recite or doesn't sit and recite, at that time, are we taking it off? And I said, I believe we are, because that's just how we're gonna start our day. So if we have a kid, I'm not trying to stereotype, but my guess is most of the people who want to wear hats are happy to take their hat off for 10 seconds, whether they're gonna recite the pledge or not. Just have to take it. That's the only thing we're asking you to do to make sure we're respectful at that point in time, because we're taking 15 seconds to recite the pledge. I can tell you it's going to be an issue because it's already an issue with staff and students. It's already been discussed with our football players. It's being discussed with our staff. So it's not just like, hey, this is all great, we're going to do it. And it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So we're going to follow the law, the letter, the way it was told to us. And not unlike masks. We're not bullying. Here's the opportunity. If you want to take, you know, want to be part of this opportunity, we're all going to do it. And at that point in time, we're back into history 101, and we're checking that. And that person wants to wear a mask for half their day and not the second half. We're not going to ask them why they do it in those 4 classes. That's their choice, and we don't need to discuss that. It isn't just wave the wand and everything's going to be great on Monday.
Right. Okay, we had a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to approve the 2 changes to the handbook?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. It is approved to update the 2 items in the student handbook, headwear and cell phones.
Those will be reflected tomorrow on our website with our handbook. I wanted to be real sure that it was clear when I know our kids are so smart. I mean, nothing wasn't changed online. Oh, it's not the policy. That's not the policy. I can have my phone, so it will reflect that tomorrow for sure by Friday.
Hey Rob, on the no food and drink in the classroom,
Yeah.
water bottles allowed?
Yes, absolutely. I think we're at clear water bottles, any water bottles. We get a little grumpy with Gatorade, so if that's what you really have to do, put in a water bottle. No one's ever gonna know the difference. It's really more food that we got real lax on coffee and donuts, and the next thing you know, it's a smorgasbord first period and 5th period, and we're just, I mean, not all over, but a couple, we're gonna tighten that up. And you probably saw a couple of signs in school if you walked around, school board policy, no food and drink in the classroom. Just like anything else, when I've had it, that's a board policy. This isn't a Rob policy, so the kid comes in, this is a board policy. So I use you guys. I will use you this week on the cell phone. It is a board policy through our student handbook that's approved that we will not have cell phones in the classroom. Every Wednesday, once a month, you can spend your 3 minutes and explain why that's just a travesty to you.
I have standing room only at the September board meeting, kids and phones.
I have a feeling we have no problems with the pledge.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the 2020-2021 Baxter Community School District APR report.
So this has changed a little over the years. We used to use other means of doing this, but now I'm going to share with you the Iowa performance profiles, and you've seen all these before. There's just a lot of information on there. And I don't know what Wendy's going to talk about, so I don't want to steal too much thunder. Yeah, okay. I don't want to like steal everything that you're going to talk about. But mostly, I just wanted you to see that, you know, we're scoring very well, just on the overall graduation rate. And this is, anybody can get on this website. It's, if you just go to the Department of Ed or just Google Iowa School Performance profiles, and then you can, this is all public information. So, you know, I'd really like to highlight that although our elementary is still on the comprehensive list, and they just keep delaying that because of COVID and everything else, I think they're not even taking the Iowa assessments that we just took in last spring and using those to even change any statuses. And there's gonna be no new statuses this year, so it's just tabled again. So unfortunately for the handful of schools that were on the list the very first time, we've been on it forever. But our overall performance for the elementary is commendable, which is fabulous because that's based on what we were doing now, but we still have that comprehensive status just because it's a 3-year, not 4-year, not 5-year deal. So anyway.
Are they gonna keep providing extra funding?
Well, there's some question about that. We're hoping, but even the fact that there was some of the funds that Jason had planned to spend on sending teachers to professional learning communities, training, and a few of those things, well, those things were canceled. So he didn't spend that money, wanted to roll it over to maybe this year when it's opened again. And so he's been in contact with DE trying to work that out. And they're trying to figure out if that's going to be a possibility, but they hope so. They hope that that money will be able to just roll over. But we don't know. We really don't know yet. That's just still a question mark. But, you know, the elementary scored 57.51 out of 100, but the state average is 54.94. So we fell in the commendable category. So proud of the work they're doing down there. And then if you click on the high school link, they scored high performing, so that's even better. So the average, state average, like I said, is 54.94, and our high school score is 63.47. So there's a pretty small number of schools who fell into that category. Isn't it, Rob, the second highest? Like there's one that's like just a little bit higher than high performing, and we were right in that next category.
What I did, it's been within 2 years now since we put the posters up. We celebrated that last time too. And what we found out was that top category didn't have very many secondary schools at all. So then we actually looked and kind of talked about how we were in the top 5% of the state of secondary schools. So we'll do some of the same research, you know, like any data is solid, but let's spin it and talk about it the way that, you know, just make sure we know we're comparing apples and apples. So, but that's, yeah, the conditions of learning come in. Did you see that today? So we can actually, which would be great, because we dig into those questions. It's a big part of this about how kids feel safe at school, bullying, harassing, and all that. And last year, ours was higher than our actual score of how kids feel about Baxter at the 612. And that data comes out this next week. So we'll spend some time in our PLCs, traps, and I just kind of seeing what the lowest was. I mean, is it safe in school? Is it how we treat others of opposites? I mean, there's tons of categories. So I'll share that too, maybe next month.
So anyway, just wanted to report that out, that, you know, our school's doing some really good things, and our scores in those two categories have continued to be solid. So, and that's, we don't have to prove that or anything. That's, I think it's just for information.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Seemed quite as in depth as what the old report card seemed to be a lot more data in there that.
Yeah, and if you click on the top one, the Iowa Performance Profile, you can dig in deeper to some of those categories. Like if you scroll down, you can like change the view to the in-depth view. So, you know, you can look at graduation rate and just, there's lots of information on there. And I think, I mean, Rob could probably talk way more in depth, or Wendy even too, about this. There's a lot that you can dig into. You could spend a lot of time on that website.
And what Corey's talking, I think, because remember Corey, I presented that a couple of years ago. There are less categories this year coming off COVID because of growth and a lot of different things that they limited how many things. So we were told now in 2 more than all that will get added back. So it was really about just a few things this year. But you're right, because last time I think it was 9. It was a lot. Yeah. Readiness of math, readiness of reading, growth in math, right? Yeah.
Any other questions on that? Thank you. Okay, the next item is the 2021-2022 Baxter Community School District Professional Learning Plan.
I'm gonna hand this over to Wendy. So Wendy, I'm just gonna connect, I'm gonna give you, do you need like, just to log in or? Okay.
Maybe Dr. Anderson, if you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
introduce yourself to everybody here.
Yeah.
You kind of met first,
Right.
but
So I'm Wendy Anderson, and I have a, part of my slides, I do have a little bit of a personal introduction as well as my goals for this year. So I could use those slides to sort of
That'd be
introduce
fine.
myself. I don't want to, just like, all right, sounds okay. Yeah. Okay.
Give me help. You just need like Safari or Google.
Yeah.
Close to everything. There you go.
Sorry.
You should be able to just.
Yeah. Change it from here.
You just say. Here, let's just, let me just.
All right.
Michael's taller.
So just a little kind of personal introduction about myself. On the right there, I have 27. This is my 27th year in education. I started off as an English language arts teacher, and I went into school counseling, and most recently was a curriculum consultant at Brentwood AEA in Cedar Rapids. So I started off as undergraduate. I got my BA in English and secondary education from the University of Iowa, a master's degree from Buena Vista University in education and school counseling, and then went back to Iowa for my PhD in educational psychology. And I will actually be starting classes on Monday for a second master's degree in educational leadership. So lifelong learner. Picture on the left there is my husband, Eric, who's a superintendent at Hvac Mechanical schools. We have a daughter, so on the right is a picture of my daughter, Ashley, and her fiance, James, and they're getting married at the end of September. So that was taken at Okoboji. She is a 2014 graduate of Wartburg, and she's currently in her 4th year at the University of Minnesota studying pharmaconeurology. You have to think about that every time I say it. And then they're holding our dogs. This is Thor and Zuzu. They are Boston Terriers, and they are the love of our life. We call Thor, his nickname's Tank. As you see his face there, he's such a sweetheart, but he's very aggressive with his love. So he loves nothing better than to lick your face. And then Zuzu, we call her the little diva because she thinks she's in charge of everything. She's the alpha dog, and she likes all the attention. So that's just a little personal information about me. So I'll move on to the kind of the goals this year for curriculum instruction and assessment that I have. So first of all, looking at establishing a guaranteed viable curriculum. Baxter's done a lot of work on this already. So I want to make sure that we capitalize on what's already been done and move that forward. So one of those ways we can do is a vertical K-12 examination of what we have determined to be our priority standards. And by doing that, we can determine where there might be gaps in our priority standards, where there might be overlap. And so how can we provide a seamless experience K-12? Secondly, to support the staff in being able to unpack those standards, meaning determining what are the exact set of knowledge and skills that our students need to have within those priority standards, and then how can we assess those properly in doing that. So then finally, supporting the staff and examining the time they need to actually teach those standards. So that's the viable part. We can prioritize all kinds of things, but we might be prioritizing too much and we don't have time enough in the year to properly teach and assess those. Secondly, I'd like to examine curricular resources and establish a review timeline. I think before Michael was here, the superintendent sort of put together something that could be used. I think again, because of COVID and because of other things that got a little bit off track. But most recently, the elementary has adopted some reading and math things, and so they're getting started with that. So we can look at what needs are out there right now in other curricular areas as well. So one of the things that I'll be doing is meeting with teachers to deepen my understanding of what resources they have that they feel are really strong, where are the gaps that might exist, that they feel that they need more support with that in staff and teaching those standards. And then the last part is supporting staff and connecting their curriculum with the resources that are available there. My goals in instruction are, first of all, to support effective teaching in every classroom. I'll be doing that by observing in classrooms and being visible that way too, so I can have a clear understanding system-wide of how the curriculum and resources are being enacted through instruction, because we can't just say that, well, we have curriculum, we have resources. It's important about how they are being taught and assessed. So again, determining system-wide instructional strengths, where our teachers, where their strategy is really strong, and where, again, might they need some shoring up with instructional strategies. And then to address that, I'd create or support some professional development here for them on Mondays or on professional development days. And then supporting that this is a professional learning community and supporting those collaborative teams that exist. Again, I'll be visiting those teams and examining data, helping them to do that, and examining what are practices that we're using in our classrooms to make sure those are research-based. As far as assessments, I'd like to develop a balanced assessment system. And what that means is that we're covering all the areas, such as we have in place some screeners to screen for students that universally, to make sure students aren't having issues. If they do, we provide diagnostic testing to really target what are the issues that are happening. And then we provide interventions for those, and we use progress monitoring to make sure that the interventions we've chosen are effective for them. We also look at formative assessment that teachers are giving in their classrooms to make sure that every, say, 5 to 10 instructional days, that's a guide, that some type of formative assessment is in place to determine how students are responding to the instruction, rather than waiting to the very end of the unit or semester and then suddenly realizing that students aren't understanding or doing the things that we expect them to do. And we do have, of course, summative assessments. Those are end of unit tests, and making sure that those questions that we have are valid and reliable questions, that they actually are related to the instruction that we've given. And then finally, those standardized tests and those that are required by law, setting those up and making sure that that those are appropriately used and in the classrooms as well. I also would like to assess the assessments that we're giving, and what I mean by that is making sure we're creating a balance between making sure we're giving enough testing, that we have enough data that we're gathering that, but we don't have, we're not over assessing kids where they're just getting assessment fatigue, and then we wouldn't get good data from that either. And then finally, determining or establishing protocols for analyzing that assessment data. Because again, we can collect all the data we want, but if we're not assessing that and then using it to inform our instruction, it's really not being helpful. So system-wide, something that I would like to do is align something that connects all the initiatives and honor the work that's already been done in Baxter, because the right work has been done here, that's for sure, that's very clear. But sometimes it can feel in the world of education that things are coming out all the time, so it feels like piling on top, piling on top, piling on top. So looking for something that really integrates all the work that we've done and it makes sense organizationally in a structure. So one thing that I've suggested that we could try for our curriculum instruction and assessment team is called high reliability schools. It's from the work of Robert Marzano. And what that does is it kind of aligns things in a sort of a tier or a pyramid. Yeah, there's the book. In a pyramid structure that's kind of akin to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're familiar with that. But the basic level of Maslow's hierarchy is that you have your safety needs met. And that's actually the first level of high reliability schools. Level 1 is a safe and collaborative culture. We have to have a safe school, an orderly school, and that has to be, not just we say it is, but our students and our staff, the families and community perceive it to be that way. And it has to be collaborative in the sense that if we're not working together as a team in our collaborative teams in our PLC structure, if we can't have vulnerability with each other to present data and to work together, there's no way that we can expect our students to be able to work together and have a safe school. So that's the first level. We've got to get that established before we can really move on to anything else. So once that's established, the level 2 is making sure that effective teaching exists in every classroom. So we would do a balance between making sure that we have standards and accountability, but that teachers don't feel like they're robots. They can bring their own art and teaching style to what they do. They can pick strategies that they like as long as they fall within the goals that we're trying to establish and what is effective teaching. For example, we would say that effective teaching is greeting students when they come into the classroom. We're going to see that no matter what classroom you go into, but how you do that, up to you. Do it within your own personal style. Level 3 is a guaranteed viable curriculum. Again, Baxter's been working toward that, but it's really difficult to do, to align those things if we don't have that collaborative piece in place. Same thing with level 4 is standards-based grading. A lot of districts in not just the state but across the nation, there's a lot of research to back standards-based grading and that practice, but they have trouble establishing it in their schools because they didn't do step 1. They didn't get their community involved and informed and getting them on the same page so they know what this is about, why we're doing it, why we're moving forward, instead of just like putting that in place. So we really have to make sure that that level 1 is the solid base and the foundation. We can't have levels 4 and 5, which is competency-based education. A lot of career-based things in there, community type things, hands-on approaches, and putting multiple standards across multiple content areas together. But we can't have that floating out there by itself. It's got to be supported by these other things. So that's really what high reliability schools does. As you can see, Baxter has done a lot of work, or at least dabbled in all of those areas. So pulling those together within that structure could be, and again, I'm not saying it is the way, but suggesting that that is what we could look at in our curriculum instruction assessment team as a possibility. So we're thinking of possibly doing a book study with that and seeing if that might be the direction that we'd like to head. So I guess at this point, are there any questions that you have that I might be able to answer? And there might be questions that I'm not able to answer this morning, so, but I'll do my best to do some research to figure those out.
I guess one thing, the things that kind of like say the greeting, capturing kids' hearts that we've been working on, does that
Sure.
fit in that?
Absolutely it does. That would be that very first level of that safe and collaborative culture. So that safety piece of making sure that everyone feels like there's belonging there, there's relationships established, staff to student, student to student, staff to staff, all of that. So the social emotional learning piece is definitely part of that, that first tier.
Dr. Anderson,
Excited to be here.
you know, just nice to have somebody who can pull this all together. And I mean, like she said, we've done a ton of really great stuff, but it's kind of going in every which way. So if we could just pull it all together with that high reliability school framework, I feel like that's just the missing piece we've been working on. And she's also been helping us quite a bit with our vision and mission, core values work. That's just some of that foundational level stuff that we've been working on. So she's been we put her to work right away.
On that last week. 30 minutes went really fast. Just get another set of eyes on what we're doing. That's exciting to me.
Right.
I can take feedback. I may think this is going really well. I've already said carte blanche. Just take 4 to 6 weeks and just watch our systems, watch our teachers, watch our kids. Give us some feedback. That'll really help too to some extent. I'm going to use her differently than we probably use that position as a true. We've used it as a curriculum director, and I see it more as an instruction and assessment leader with our teachers. Not that we don't need it, but we're small enough. I told her I want them to feel just like Dennis gives.
Right, because I think at the beginning, the same thing with instructional leadership, we had a lot of people that kind of held back, and like you said, people need to feel like they can open up and feel, that they can do that. Whereas I think when we started doing it, I think there were a lot of people that they feel vulnerable going in and saying, hey, this is what I don't know what's going wrong, but this isn't working for me. They don't want to look as failures, but I think if they feel that, they can be vulnerable,
I agree. Teachers put their heart into everything they do. So, they get something that doesn't work, that's, they take it personally. So we've got to be able to support each other and working through that, getting better.
And you're gonna be here 2 days a week, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. I should have said at the beginning, Mondays and Thursdays, I think, typically that I will be here, but of course if there are meetings that fall, I'll try to do my best to cover both districts.
The PDPs will be really helpful to have you just help bring it all together for our teachers.
What are we starting? I mean,
Next week?
I know we're starting, but what are we gonna
Yep.
focus on?
Well, that's a great question. So coming off our retreat, our plan, we have a couple Mondays planned right away. So I think I think Wendy's going to present and start in on unpacking standards on the 4th. And I'm going to get back to standards-based grading again for either 1 or 2 Mondays right away. It's been a while. I think we just need to tighten that up. But between Michael and Jason and I, we're going to meet with every staff member over the next 6 weeks for at least 20 minutes. We're going to ask the same questions. What do you want to focus on? Where do you think your gaps in some of these things are? How can we support you in your learning? Because I could see we do that with kids. We have win time, what they need now, or MTSS time. Why don't we do that with staff? And we've tried that, but we need to be more intentional with it because we may have 3 or 4 people that really want to work on their GBC and it's a book study or it's meeting with Wendy. A couple more want to be in PLCs in their content area and, or some way want to do a sit and get with Heartland. And there's no reason that we can't try to meet everyone's needs instead of just saying one size fits all. Because we have a wide range of at least instructors in 612. They need baby steps on their priority standards with Wendy, but we have 5 or 6 that I'd love to get in PLC and they could soar with some of these assessments that they just need to, keep working towards the SRG and how they're assessing. She made some great points about doing the right assessments, making sure that connects to our instruction. But we're all over the board. So that's our hope before October 1st.
I think we have a whole timeline. Well, is yours PowerPoint done?
Yes.
I can show you if it's done at the bottom, but I can just jump to that now.
I do, and you mentioning assessments, I mean, I just think that's
in general, that would be the biggest.
Basically, that's obviously something that you feel strongly about, because it is, the assessment is such a big piece.
We take our biggest chunk is doing some great instruction. They have great things in place, but sometimes the assessments aren't matching directly to our standards.
Right.
So, because that's the assessment I've always given, and yeah, I just like it, but it takes time. It's like, I talked to John the other day, the time he's put in just in one class last year, but it's a process. You can't just expect everyone to magically have all these unbelievable assessments, and you gotta take baby steps, but take the right steps to get there.
So one of the things we did last week, Jason, Rob, and I met at Heartland with Dr. Belenja, he's a educational leader, and then Dr. Sheldon, who's the chief of the AEA. And they helped us go through the new Iowa Administrator Standards. And so what we did is we made a survey, and Jason, Rob, and I all three took the survey, and we looked at the 10 standards, and we talked about which one or two would be the most important for us to focus on this year to make the most impact on our school. And so we took the survey anonymously, and then the one that we all three answered the same out of the 2 or 3 that we were to pick, we all picked standard 6, which is through professional development, coaching, conversations, collaboration, and reflection, we will create a system that increases the professional capacity in the school personnel to promote each student's academic success and well-being. And so the 3 of us all have a little bit different role in this meeting this goal. But one of our things is we wanted to make that public to the board, and then Jason and Rob are both going to share that our professional goal with their staffs, so they see like we're all in this together. And having it be public like this, you guys hold us accountable. We want you to ask us how's it going, what are you doing with it. So we made a timeline. So we're going to divide up the list, and we're actually the professional goals don't say just teachers, they say staff. So we're going to divide it up. So I'm going to do the non-teaching staff. So, I'll talk to Julie and say, what do you need to be able to help support our students' academic or well-being? And, to Pam and to all our staff, say, what professional learning do you need? Because we are a learning institution. So what can we do to help you to help support our goals? So, a lot of the non-teaching staff, I'm assuming it's going to probably be things more around capturing kids' hearts and some of the social emotional things that they do. Our lunch staff, what do they need to, maybe we need to train everyone in capturing kids' hearts. Like really, I think only our teaching staff, right, has been trained. So, if that's a thing that we determine that we need to do, then we need to start to plan our budget to be able to do that, because, that's an expensive training. But if we value that, then we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do that. So anyway, then we have this timeline, and so we'll gather all the input. And so like the questions are, what ways can I support your professional growth? How does this growth plan impact the academic success or well-being of students? Do you have any immediate needs that I can address to help you have a successful school year? And then what is your preferred learning method? Like Rob said, book study, AEA, meeting with Dr. Anderson. So then we'll have the AEA help us compile all the data, and Wendy as well is going to help us. I don't know if she knows that yet, but we want you to help us as well. We talked about that at the retreat, that Wendy will be an integral part in this. We're just kind of doing a lot of the data gathering. So then we'll be able to put together a pretty solid plan for the second semester. Some of it will be just in time stuff. Like if they say, I need help with this now, well, we'll get Wendy right on, or we'll get right on whatever, somebody will get right on it. But we want to put together a plan then that rolls out second semester. And then what we'll do is we'll meet in May again with them and say, how did it go? What needs do you have now? And then we'll be able to roll out a plan for the following year. And we just want to have a system. We want to build a system that we're constantly looking for feedback and what do we need now at the adult level to support learning of our kids. So anyway, so then we jotted down some of the data sources we would use. And then, the final question we said, why did we pick this goal? And we just said, this is an area of need we've identified. So we've chosen this standard to establish a system for professional development for all. So then each administrator will also choose another goal, or for me, like I'll work with you guys, we'll pick one of the other 10 standards to go through. And what they've said also is with these new 10 standards, you can't do all of them in 1 year. So that's not even an expectation. They're like, pick 1 or 2 that you're going to focus on every year and then just go through a rotation. And obviously you have to do all of them, but you're going to make your professional goal around 1 or 2 of them. So we decided to make one joint one on goals, or on standard 6, and then Rob will choose something else, and Jason will choose something else, and I'll choose something else, and then we'll write our professional plans around that. But that was from our admin retreat, and that we did. last week with, Dr. Valenta at AEA. And so, just really shoring up our professional learning for all is what we want to do. So, any questions about that? Do appreciate Wendy taking the time tonight to come visit with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Remind me where your office is gonna be.
It's right here in the library.
Got it.
So, yeah, it's just in the corner there, and it's where Josh's office was.
Okay.
Same.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is review of board policies. That was 400s through 600s on the COVID-19 policies. So Michael, did you have any?
I just the updates I sent you last month, but no, unless you guys have any questions about any of those.
Some of them that maybe they'll be updated when we get refreshed here, but like the early retirement and sick days and things like that. Just some of the, I can just send you maybe the numbers,
Yeah, that'd be great.
like when it was elementary was still 1st through 6th, secondary was 7th, stuff like that.
Okay, just like housekeeping kind of things.
Yeah, some of those are the non-certified vacation that we tweaked that this year.
Yeah, the parents. Yeah, I like they could earn some paid time off. Yeah.
So just double checking some of those.
Okay. Yeah, if you just send me like your things that you've noticed, or I can even photocopy your notes.
Do we, social media things, we put that just in the handbook, or is that actual policy? Is that, we discussed some of that maybe almost a year ago. About,
Oh, with like staff and social media. Is that a policy? I can double check on it. I don't remember if we made it a board policy or if it was just a handbook policy.
Yeah.
I'll check on that.
something I was thinking about this going down through. There's something about student contact, staff contact.
Anybody else have anything they'd come up with when they review those? Okay, then on the COVID-19 policy, that we covered last time, right? So anybody have any further thoughts on that or questions? Remember at the COVID-19, that was just, they were updated to reflect the laws that were passed in Iowa, right?
Yeah, I'm actually clicking back on the July minutes to see what just I think the policy was just that we were approving our return to learn policies because in the last year we approved the policy with the masks, and then this year we removed the mask mandate. So as I'm looking back last month, there wasn't really any specific COVID policies in our board meeting.
Did a lot of expire in June?
Yeah, I think they just expired. We just have it updated. All just those new legal ones, like employee expression, graduation requirements, and things like that. And the flag one is in those, the 600, 400, 600s from last month. We talked about that. I think when we approved the plan a little bit ago, we probably just went ahead and already approved the COVID policies.
It was under the umbrella of our return to learn. plan
Yeah.
then.
Yep.
So really then the COVID-19 part has been approved, right?
Yeah, so we could probably even just delete that since we did it up at the top under business. Or one of the letter B, I think it was. Yeah, business items A and B. So I'm gonna just delete those off of this part.
Actually, Corey, that was one of them that we discussed last time, one of the updated board policies was on the employee expression board, whatever, code 401.6. That's in there, one that was updated.
Like I said,
And students also,
it's not the books yet.
right, no.
Oh yeah, because we have to read a couple times.
Yeah, I just wanted to just break stuff down.
Yeah.
So Michael, if you get that from Corey, then next meeting
Yeah.
you can present that. Make sure that those things have been updated before we do the
Final
approval.
reading, yep.
Final reading.
Yeah, so if you guys come across anything else, just email me and then I'll make sure that we get them all updated.
Moving on in the agenda, facilities, grounds, and transportation.
Not really anything, just a big thank you to our custodial staff. The building looks great. They have worked so hard and they were short-staffed all summer long. And so they are just working their tails off. And I know Pam and Tammy plan to come in this weekend and get the final polishing up before kids show up on Monday. So I just really want to tell them a big public thank you for all the hard work that they've done. It hasn't been easy, but it looks great. And I don't know if you've been through the new collaboration space with the new flooring. It looks so good. They replaced the floors because of the scratches and stuff, and it just pops. It looks so nice, and it's just all shiny. And so I know Pam takes a lot of pride in that, but she did great work.
I think she said she put like
Like
coats.
5 coats of wax,
wax on it.
so it should not get scratched. Yeah.
She wasn't impressed with the 2 coats that the installers had put
Yeah.
on last year.
Yeah.
Not enough.
And then, with transportation, like we said, we made the plea for bus drivers. So if you know anybody who drives a bus or wants to drive a bus, we are always looking for bus
I
drivers.
saw on the news last night, some of the Des Moines school, like they were offering like, a couple $1,000 signing bonus, you'll come and drive a bus. If you don't, we'll pay you, to get your license if you don't have a license. And we'll give you a signing bonus after that. I mean, yeah, everybody's desperate.
Are we gonna run 3 big buses in a van this year again? or
It's
For routes?
Kevin, Scott.
Is Rusty Parker still doing
He
it?
He's stuck
resigned.
for 3, he's doing 3 days, or 3 days later.
Rusty
Or
is.
somebody.
So. There's a van, I know Deb's got it covered.
Yeah.
So
I know last year we went from 4 big buses to 3 in the van because that seemed to make more sense.
Oh my God. There's Kevin,
Dennis Redmond?
oh, Dennis, is he?
I don't know,
He
Yeah,
did, he
this-
did a regular round again last year, didn't he?
Yeah, it's great, but except for that we want him.
I think Dennis is doing the morning, and somebody is doing his after school, but I don't
He's
know.
got
who.
cross
Swimming,
country.
yeah.
But I know it's just a mess right now.
We'll get the kids picked up, one way or the other. I have to drive vans and it's crazy. Like I know everyone is really struggling to find drivers.
I don't wanna go down the parallel road.
Grad buses?
No, just to have Paris, period.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't have enough.
No,
I mean, we're just,
I don't know the answer, but I mean, when they would go to RVs for 14.
yeah.
I don't know the answer. I'm gonna take that something different tonight. It is going to be a big problem. I don't know. Raising pennies is the answer, but when you get parents that come back and take the job home for $3 more. $10.50, I just got one, but I don't even know exactly how far we can go. What we can do.
and we have a little flexibility, like if they have a college degree, they get paid more, or if they have even like a 2-year degree, they get paid, but they don't get paid a lot more, they get paid a little more. And so like our hope was offering that, 1 day a month of vacation, I can't remember what it's some little bit of vacation, trying to throw out a few incentives, but like Rob said, if you can go to McDonald's or Target and make $2 or $3 an hour more, people do.
All day, all the time.
Yeah.
If Jason was here, he would say, no, it's now.
Yeah, he is desperate because he still has school things. School starts Monday, so figure it out, but might be a rotation, Michael, Jason, Rob, Ferris, Wendy on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever.
Okay, next item on the agenda is open enrollment. Looks like we have one open enrollment in application.
Yep, so Amanda and Corey Butler for their daughter Paige Cripps to continue to attend Baxter after a recent move to Newton. So even though it's past the deadline, it's still within the rules because it was a move.
And she's attended here before,
Yeah.
right? So, okay. Do we have a motion to approve the open enrollment in application as presented? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Open enrollment in application is approved. Move on to-
Sorry,
Oh, go
I was
ahead.
gonna ask, what's our incoming kindergarten class size this year? I know we had a big one that 3rd graders are.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish Jason was here because he would know. I had a patron reach out to me today and just ask what our numbers were, if we were up or down or just ballpark. And so I asked Angie because she was just around me and she said, anecdotally, she thought there were maybe a few more kids, new families at registration. But she said she knows we lost, she could think of 2 kids that we lost, but she doesn't know, but that was just secondary kids. So I'd have to talk to Janet. So we'll be able to report that a lot better next month, but, or even, Monday, count the little seats and bodies and seats, but, I don't think we're down anyway, but I guess, because our graduating class, wasn't it pretty small, Rob?
Yeah, mid-20s.
Yeah, so we have, bigger, younger kid classes coming up.
Okay, move on to personnel. Looks like we have one resignation.
So, Crystal runs for high school softball.
And do we have to have Rusty on here, or is that a different one? Maybe it's not.
Maybe, do they have contracts with? They
I don't
might
think-
run
I
on.
don't
So it
think
might
they
be
do.
more
I
like
don't
an
think
hourly.
we've done bus drivers before. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the resignation of Crystal Runts as high school softball coach?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. And the same sign. Resignation's approved.
James, he has 34. Okay.
Nice.
That's, I don't know, quote, just, they're 17 each one of those teachers' classes.
Okay, and we have a new contract to Bill Hanson as Director of Hvac Mechanical.
And he'll be starting Monday. He comes to us with, John and I interviewed him a couple weeks ago.
Right closer to a month.
Yeah, because it was right around the board meeting last month. So, he has 11 years experience doing that job. And so we're very excited. He's been in a couple times already and visited with Pam and they've walked around and he seems to have quite a bit of content knowledge. So, I think he'll be a great fit for us.
We have a motion to,
I was adding.
Okay. Oh,
I might have missed a couple, but.
oh gosh, I keep forgetting.
I know,
That's my job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Sorry. I.
We have a motion to extend the contract to Bill Hanson as Director of HVAC Mechanical.
So.
We have a second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved to offer a contract to Bill Hanson.
Okay, wait, whoops. Okay, okay, that was,
Yeah.
we really need Julie.
And then the last one is to approve a volunteer coach, Chad Maxwell, as a volunteer junior high football coach,
Okay, sorry.
or junior high and high school, okay. We have a motion to, and he's got the coaching certificate and everything he needs, background check, whatever. Okay. We have a motion to approve Chad Maxwell as a volunteer junior high, high school football coach. We have a second? All in favor,
Thanks,
aye?
Kim. And Corey.
All in favor, aye? Both same sign. Motion's approved to approve Chad Maxwell as a volunteer high school and junior high football. Okay, we'll move into superintendent's report.
Covered some of this already, with the goals. So yep, we're all set to get kids back on Monday. We started with teachers today and it was great. We had a guest speaker this morning, just kind of a positive theme for the year. We're just really feeling like we've turned the page. It was just so nice to see the staff be able to be together. We were in the cafeteria, we had we ate breakfast, and people were visiting and laughing, and it was just a whole different feel. Last year on this day, I talked to them all via Zoom, and so it was just not the same. So it was just wonderful to get to have everybody together, and I know people are excited, and I mean, we were a little hesitant, the variant and all of that, but people are just so excited to be back, and we just are really focusing on having a positive year. So I mean, one of the things we got shirts for everybody that they have a catchy little slogan that Rob came up with. It's
Still.
well, he did great. And so just trying to have it feel different this year. We've moved on. We're ready to focus on teaching and learning again. Last year was all about just surviving it and trying to show grace. And while that we still want to do those things, we're ready to move forward again. And so we're just really excited about just all the positive changes. I mean, Dr. Anderson, all of it, everything is just, it's moving in a positive direction. So, and leading into the next thing, our excuse me, our back to school community open house is going to be on Monday night from 6 to 7:30. And we're hoping that's a really well attended community event, not just for school families, but for the community. We built this beautiful new building last year and nobody could even come in and see it. So we want people who don't have kids in school yet or don't have kids in school anymore or have never had kids in school that just want to come see our building and just be a part of this community school. So we're opening it up. There's a pancake supper for fundraiser for the juniors, and we're going to have little booths in the middle school commons that we've invited all sorts of community groups to come in who just have resources for things that parents may need, just to connect community resources with community people. So I know we have like the booster clubs coming, Baxter Rec, the Chamber of Commerce, a whole bunch of the churches are coming. Like a quilting group that I didn't even know we had, but they have kids in our district that are a part of this quilting group. 4-H, just all the things you can think of. And I sent it out to our staff and I sent it out to our community, and people were like sending me ideas of, oh, you should invite this person. And I don't think I had anybody turn us down. So I really hope that to see, like the food bank, that's another one, just to see tables full of things that Baxter has to offer our students and our parents and our families, that just connecting them. So I'm just really excited about just that whole community feeling of Baxter Community Schools. So that's Monday night. And then we also said it's like, don't have to worry about supper because you can just have pancakes and then send your kiddos off to bed after an exhausting first day of school. And then we already talked about the office classroom project, it's wrapping up, looks great. And then we're still working on that vision and mission work that we started before the pandemic broke out. I would say, and you two can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say plan is something around December before winter break, a draft of what we're working on. We've done a lot of work with the mission and the vision, and we haven't even really got to the collective commitments yet. So we're just trying to be thoughtful about it, because we don't want it to just be words on a wall. Like, not that that's just words on a wall, but we want it to be a living, breathing thing that really drives our work. So we've worked with the district leadership team and the SIAC committee, but we'll then, have to tweak it more and then take it to the staff and bring it to you guys. So, and then bring it back to the SIAC. So we really want it to be a community feel, that this vision and mission really represents what Baxter Community Schools believe in. So that's still a work in progress. And then I already talked about our administrator retreat. So really we've got, tomorrow we have, I'm really excited about this, some professional development with our teaching staff and the AEA, and the focus of it is the general ed teacher's role in special ed. So what is it that we need general ed teachers to do to support our special ed students? Because all students are gen ed students first. And then some of them have special needs that need to be supported by the special education department, but that doesn't mean that they're not gen ed kids first. So it's just trying to help solidify how we all as a team are going to support these kiddos to be successful. So I'm excited about that as well. And yeah, we're just trying to keep the boat upright and just, it'll be good just to get kids here. You can plan and plan and plan, but until you actually get the kids in the building, you just don't know how it's going to go. So we're just excited to get everybody back. Today was a big step, just getting teachers back, or teachers and staff back. It's a great day. So that's really all I got for you.
Anybody have anything for Michael?
Monday night open house, are we doing anything? Are we serving cookies or something? Or no,
I don't think
because
you
of-
have to because of the
Okay.
pancake supper. So you can just be a mom and you can just be a dad that night. And I think, are you at a booth?
Yeah.
And so, John, I mean, if you just want to
Be a gawker.
shake hands and kiss babies,
There
and
you go.
I don't know, Debbie, I guess I'll have a kiddo here too, so she can just be a mom that night. But it'll just be a nice community night. People might have questions about the multi-purpose building or anything like that. John's kind of a go-to guy on the multi-purpose building, so direct all questions to John. So yeah, we just love to have you guys if you can make it that night. And we told the staff they could from 5:30 to 6 sneak down and have pancakes if they wanted, and then get back up to their room before 6 when your parents show up. So, because it'll be a long day for them to be here, from 8 to
Right.
7:30. So.
So
All right.
they'll all be in their own classroom then?
Yeah, teachers will be in their rooms, so that way, parents can come around. And we thought, we're doing it a little differently, but we thought it would be nice for the little ones, they can come in and they can show mom and dad where their desk is and where their little locker is, and maybe some work that they did on the first day. And I know it's only a couple hours I figure that first day. The older kids can have at least met their teachers, and we just thought it would be a nice change of pace. Plus, like if you're going to do it on a traditional back to school night, well, we're going to do it like tomorrow would be Thursday, but it's several days before the first day of school, and then Friday's a home football game, and we're not going to do it on Sunday. So it's just. So, well, we'll just try this and make it a community event and see how it goes.
Everything ready out at the complex for football?
Not yet. Not yet.
It will be.
It will be.
Okay.
Yep, it will be. Wish we weren't hosting a scrimmage Friday, it would be a lot better. But we have a lot of home games this year for
I saw
just,
it looks good.
it's not, we would have more home games than any team in the state of Iowa this year. So I guess that's a good way to get Dayton,
Yeah.
find it, but it's just because one of the teams playing no home games, and we had to switch with Collins Maxwell because they're having a building project, so they wanted to switch home and home. So we went from what was supposed to be 4 at home and 3 on the road, 6 at home, 2 on the road.
Sounds good. Anybody else have anything?
I just need to know your guys' I mean, not to say publicly on the Zoom.
Extra large for me.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, they're,
Are they-
the
are they
shirt,
Rob's
they're
catchy
Rob's
slogan?
catchy slogan shirts.
Okay.
And then if you're here Monday night, we'd love it if you'd wear them.
Okay.
Because that's what we gave the staff, and we said you can wear them to school on Monday if you want to, but some people want to wear like their first day of school outfit. So we want them to wear them Monday night, so.
What's his name?
I'll just go get some teachers here, because they're very cute.
And now I'm on the hook, if it's, you don't like them.
There
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
I'm
Oh.
gonna-
Oh, Buster's.
Which you really be.
This is so lame.
First things first.
I
They
want
don't
to
really
just
care
do your
about
job.
that.
You don't need any more goals, mission,
Just care about
anything
me.
That's
else.
why
Do your job.
Page 12.
Do your
How long do
job.
they stay clean?
Well, that's.
What's
why
that?
they go in
Okay.
there.
We're good. We
I
have
haven't let
motion
them
to
wear
adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye. Pose same sign. Meeting's adjourned.
Yes, thank you for allowing us back.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's nice to be in person.
Yep.
That's